What commonly occurs in movies that doesn't usually happen in real life? Couples that have sex and never clean up their naughty parts afterwards. Yeah, I'm not wrapping up in my nice bed sheets after fucking. Where is the cum towel? People go outside and touch each other and no one has to wear a mask and they can breathe on each other and sit in a restaurant and don't need to track and trace, and I rarely grab a baguette while shopping at the grocery store. But when you do, you make sure to pack your grocery sack with 75% plus of the baguette sticking out, along with the top of all the leafy greens you purchased, right? Two men carrying a huge pane of glass on the street. High school parties that are of the same caliber as college parties. No cleanup after sex. Handguns that have infinite ammo. Handgun silencers don't sound like that. Leaving a pint of beer halfway finished at the bar. Mexico doesn't have a yellow filter. News reports that apparently repeat themselves every minute or two. Enough time for somebody to see a news report, pick up the phone, call somebody to tell them to turn on the TV. Then, without changing channels, the reporter immediately starts taking it from the top once again. With cars, news reports are magic in that they are relevant to the situation and start immediately after the driver turns on the radio. People time their conversations perfectly. Very rarely do people start talking at the same time. Sexual harassment leading to an adorable relationship, or full-blown emotional mental abuse leading to an adorable relationship. There's a French movie called Her where an older woman is raped and she falls in love with her attacker and tries to find him so they can have a relationship. BC the rape is the most exciting thing that has happened to her in years. What bull? People end a conversation by abruptly walking away or hanging up the phone. There is no sound in space. Booms and explosions in space should have no sound. 1. Fights don't last 20 or more minutes. 2. Gunfights where you fire 8 jillion rounds and not hit bystanders. Just WTF. 3. Sexy time lasts more than 30 seconds. A lack of reloading. 2. And no ear damage for some reason. Dude, 5-minute reload with some orange juice and I'm good to go. How hard does she slap you to get ear damage though? Movies. No two characters have the same first name. The company I work for had a team of 12 people where 4 were John and 2 were John. People hanging up the phone without saying any sort of goodbye. I'll call you back proceeds to hang up the person on the other side of the call. Wow, rude much. I was saying important stuff. Dreaming of snogging a beautiful woman but actually you are being licked by a fucking animal. The real world in general is not nearly as combustible as action movies would have us believe. A house full of kids and the whole home is pristine. In real life, there's always going to be some toy or art project laying around and most likely damage to the furniture. I have a 9-year-old and a 9-month-old. I pick up the house every day. Every day it is destroyed. In the coming of age type shows where kids are in middle and high school seem to have 30 minutes to an hour between classes. Depending on the schedule and location of my classes, sometimes I had to jog just to make it to the next class before the tardy bell would ring. Noisy horses. As if no one is going to know it's a horse unless it whinnies. Hey Bob, is Braveheart riding a humpback whale whinny? Oh, it's a horse. I see it now. I've had horses all my life and the only time they make noise is when I go riding and my horse can no longer see his buddy or it's time for food. If we're talking statistics, my horses make more noise farting than whinnying. Ever seen a car catch fire? They typically don't explode into a percussive fireball that blows out windows and knocks everyone in a 100-foot radius clear off their feet. I've actually seen 3 and it is noticeable when the fire reaches the fuel tank. There's a good whoosh sound and the flames flare up some. Think, squirting some lighter fluid onto the campfire. But explosions are pure Hollywood unless the fuel tank's full of fumes because the driver just ran out of gas. Person trying to hack into something types aggressively for 5 seconds and then says I'm in. Hacker, I'm gonna need at least 2 hours to backdoor into their firewall. Or some other tech jargon that makes no actual sense. Boss, you've got until I finish this sent. Hacker, I'm in. Talking in a normal level and hearing every word at a raging club. No foreplay in sex and women coming by penetration alone. It can happen, but God please have foreplay, it makes things so much better. What about when people just fall back after and look at the ceiling? Where's your tissue roll? Where's the penguin waddle to the bin to take the condom off? In murder mysteries, the person you didn't think was the killer turns out to be the killer. In most cases, the person most likely to be the killer is the killer and it is pretty obvious they did it. Also, person A goes to person B to tell them fact X which would resolve the plot, but person B simply refuses to listen and person A gets teary-eyed and leaves after making some generic sad sack comment. In real life, person A would just go fucking listen and say fact X. Most detective shows follow the formula of murder evidence points to one person, main character isn't convinced, 45 minutes of waffle, crucial piece of evidence appears and true killer is found. The writers just tend to focus on character drama, which is usually great, but the actual crime's plot could usually use some work. Hubby and I were having a laugh at CSI or a CSI equivalent show we were streaming where a female investigator wore high-heeled shoes to a crime scene and then, of course, had to run through an alley or warehouse chasing a perpetrator. I've been a litigation paralegal for 25 years and never wear high-heeled shoes to a crime scene or accident scene or to a client's home to have them review documents. Comfy shoes are the rule when navigating unfamiliar terrain. All the female CSIs have their hair loose and never in a ponytail or bun while at a crime scene. The CSIs touch their hair or clothes with their gloved hands, then touch the evidence. A beautiful, successful woman has trouble attracting men because she's clumsy. Curvy-ended bedsheets that stop at the woman's armpits and the man's waist. Getting knocked unconscious for hours and then coming to and being perfectly fine. I love how there was that episode of Monk that had an actual realistic portrayal of this. Morgue autopsy rooms frequently feature a coroner eating a pastrami sandwich over or near a corpse. It's like a Hollywood inside joke. Pretty sure that doesn't happen and would probably violate a bunch of health codes. The scent of death adds a certain something to pastrami on rye. People with lower middle class jobs that live in a nice, large house in an upper middle class suburban neighborhood, or work in a coffee shop and seemingly have tons of free time besides a huge apartment, or two well-paid university professors living together in a cheap-ass apartment to save money. Someone pulls the fire alarm and the sprinklers go off. I see that shit all the time in movies. Or someone puts a small fire under one sprinkler and they all go off. Doesn't quite work that way.